Hey everybody, I'm the Drink Pro. Do I remember what whiskey should taste like? What's up everybody, Kyle the Drink Pro here with you yet again. This is the first video being filmed with my new camera, so we should be in 4K. We are filming with some new audio equipment. This should really sound and look as good as I can get. Well, almost. I'm hoping that over time I'll learn how to use this camera better and better. But I gotta tell you, it's been a long time since I've made any content. I took a long break from drinking, not just whiskey, all spirits, and it was really valuable. I learned a lot about myself, and I think that my relationship with alcohol only improved from taking that long break. But now that I'm back at it again, after almost a month of not drinking anything, do I still know how to taste whiskey? I don't know if my palate has changed, if things have become harsher, or I'm more sensitive to different profiles. We're gonna find out today with 3 whiskeys that are very available and 1 that is very unavailable. So first I'm gonna start with Mellow Corn. If you want a full review of Mellow Corn, I will put a link to the video up in the top right corner. But today I'm just doing a quick, basic understanding to make sure that I remember what whiskey is supposed to taste like. So let's go ahead and pour it up. Fuck it. Woo! Alright, now that I've cleansed my palate, let's dig into some whiskeys. We're going to start with Old Grandad. Now this is 100 proof high rye mash bill bourbon. Should be a pretty familiar profile to me. I've done a video on this before, link in the description, where I compared the 2020 version to the version from the 1960s. Now on the nose, this is very, very light. It's 100 proof, it's bottled in bond, but boy, it doesn't have much on the nose. That could also be because of that bottle chug of Mellow Corn, I don't know. Definitely some caramel. The rye grain is starting to come forward. This is pretty young, 4 years, so it's going to have some of that grainy component. Honestly, I get a lot of cinnamon on the nose as well. I mean, the big notes that are coming to mind is like a light caramel, cinnamon, that grain spice. But overall, it's not particularly complex, which is good. It shouldn't be. Let's give it a taste. Oh yeah, there's that rye spice. I don't particularly like Old Grandad, and I kind of knew I didn't, so that reaffirms my belief. Although I will say the rye grain hits way harder than I remember. I think I've become a much more sensitive to the bitterness in a lot of these whiskeys than I was prior, and when I was in sort of my normal groove, so to speak. The grain component is very grain forward. It's not mellowed into something that is more like barrel tannin or even a deep rich cinnamon. The smell has cinnamon, but the palate not so much. Yeah, that's a big thing I'm noticing, is the sweetness really doesn't show up for me on these whiskeys. That break may have actually screwed up my palate a little bit. I get the notes on the nose, but on the palate, I mean, it doesn't taste sweet at all. It basically tastes like bitter, woody, tannin nightmare. It's not a good sign. Maybe I'll have better luck with the Wild Turkey 101. This is one I like, I'm familiar with. It should give me something that, is a known quantity I can compare my palates to. And by the way, while I'm doing this, check out Bourbon of the Week. His YouTube channel is really taking off, and he and I are going to be doing a joint live stream this Thursday at 8 p.m. That's December 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to sip on some blind samples that we have exchanged with each other on his channel. The stream will be on his channel. In the future, we'll do something on my channel, but this Thursday, go over there and check it out. Should be fun. It's kind of funny, actually. Wild Turkey is typically seen as a spicier bourbon because of the high rye mash bill, among other things, but compared to that Old Grandad on the nose, the rye is pretty tame. I actually get a lot more sweetness. This, to me, is almost a custard cream, very sweet, very sugary, but creamy. I actually get a lot of lemon zest and maybe like orange, like fruit. I don't know if it's mandarin oranges or navel oranges, but definitely oranginess on the nose on this. Maybe that's one of the reasons I go to it. I typically like fruitier whiskeys, but I usually thought about this as a spicier rye whiskey, but I came off of the Mellow Corn chug and the Old Grandad, and putting those together, you're going with a lot of spiciness. So coming to the Wild Turkey 101 from that is a step down, and it seems a lot more mellow and fruity. Really nice. All right, let's taste it. All right, I've learned two things from that. First off, I am much more sensitive to oak than I was before. I never particularly liked oak, which is already something that I said many times in videos, but I am way more sensitive to it than I've ever been. So that might make these experiences harder. But I will say this, I certainly like this Wild Turkey 101 better than the other two I've tried. So that says to me that at least my desires from a whiskey haven't changed, even if my sensitivities may be more or less heightened. Yeah, I'm still getting kind of the same three notes. Oak, black pepper, maybe some cinnamon, maybe like cinnamon red hots. It's sweeter, I think, than the old Grandad on my palate, and maybe that's because of the rye grain being so high in the OGD. The front of the palate's really nice. It's sweet without being too corn forward or grain forward. You definitely do get some grains on the mid palate into the finish. The rye shows up a little bit. The deep finish, way late in the finish, is kind of bitter oak, barrel tannins, some black pepper. There's actually a lot of black pepper in the transition between the mid palate and the finish. I'm starting to pick up these notes again, but there is some unpleasantness because generally throughout the process, I'm getting a heavy oak overtone that I never noticed before. Interestingly, I think this might have made my palate a lot more sensitive to some of those earthier notes, the deeper, richer notes, but I'm worried that I might be losing out on some of the light, sweet notes. So let's get to the main attraction. This is a single barrel E.H. Taylor. This is actually a pick that I did with one of my local liquor stores. Shout out to Big Red Liquors. I really liked this one. This is an off-profile E.H. Taylor. It's actually off mash bill as well. Oh, God, the nose on this is freaking good. I mean, I get straight up blueberries. Blueberries, strawberries, simple syrup, cotton candy. Almost like Jolly Ranchers or Pixie Sticks. It's super sugary. Now notice all of these are 100 proof, and that was sort of on purpose. I wanted to test myself on different proof points. But if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, please consider it. Go to patreon.com/thedrinkpro. I will be doing an exclusive video tasting high proof whiskeys up there. So you can check out my process of trying to regain my palate with some things that are really going to be challenges compared to these bottled and bond products. Boy, on the nose, that's all I can smell is strawberries and cream. Berries and cream, berries and cream. It's for the TikTokers out there. Okay, let's taste it. I may have made a huge mistake. I definitely get a little bit more vanilla than I have on the other two. Up front, early in the palate. It's a little bit more nutty in the mid palate, like probably a pecan, maybe an almond. That bitter tannin oak is just still throughout, though. It's really prominent on all these pours. I can definitely tell that this E.H. Taylor is a much better pour than those budget pours, but honestly, the difference is not nearly as big as I remember it being or that I think it should be, so I may really have some work to do to rebuild my palate. That's why I did this video. I wanted to see what kind of condition my palate was in. Not a good one, as it turns out, so we'll see what I can do with that. When I really give it time and really let it sit in my mouth for a while, I can get more of that berry sweetness on the palate. It's sort of like an artificial grape or an artificial blue raspberry, that kind of flavor. Definitely still tons of that barrel tannin bitterness for me, though. And I know that's not right. I know that we picked the one that didn't have that. Well, just like stopping drinking taught me something, starting up again has taught me something else. I may have really nerfed my palate. And I think Chris from Bourbon of the Week might be able to take advantage of that. So I'll see you on Thursday, Chris. Hopefully you don't kick my ass too bad. You guys keep drinking like professionals. I'm going to have to start doing that again. Cheers.